Introducing the fantabulous Mark Duncan.
Good morning. The theme for 2025 is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. The theme for August is On the Wings of Love. Today's topic, Remember the Self. Our reading today is from A Course in Miracles. Miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. Let us affirm together. God is but love, and therefore so am I. Please welcome our guest, the Reverend Dr. Jon Mundy.
Thank you, Mark. Sharon, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. And Eugene and Bruce, for all of you. Nice being with you today. I had a nice drive down. It's really not a good idea to always come to the place the day before because you get to spend an evening with Kathleen and Dan. Thank you for the salmon last night and the conversation. The topic for today is remembering yourself. It's also kind of the theme for this afternoon's workshop, which is going to be about awakening in the dream. Now, I'm going to emphasize that in the dream so that you can awaken from the dream. Ultimately, you have to awaken, it's ultimately waking from the dream, but in order to awaken from the dream, the first step is you got to realize that you are dreaming. Okay, and once you see that you're dreaming, then you have more of an opportunity to awaken from it. This is just a prequel to this afternoon. Actually, the message I want to share this morning is kind of the same idea. I'm going to kind of do a little lead-in to what we're going to do this afternoon. So if you can't say this afternoon, this is a 20-minute segment of what's going to be 2 hours, but maybe it'll also encourage you to come and spend the other 2 hours. So we do have some slides, just a few that I'm going to go through with you. Okay. So awareness of dreaming in the Course in Miracles is the real function of God's teachers, right? That's a very interesting. It's the main function of God's the real function. The real function, in the first place, is to just recognize that we're sleeping. I thought, oh, come on, I'm perfectly awake. And I'm sitting here. Well, there may be some people that are sleeping, I don't know. But you know what I mean. And so we think that we're awake. But what does awakening mean? Do you know the story of Buddha under the Bodhi tree? Okay, so the way that occurs is that after he has this experience, and it happens only, it was interesting, he was 7 years, no success. And then he started becoming worldly again. He started eating. Right? And the disciples leave him. Oh, he became worldly. We're going to leave him now, right? And then one day he gets up to go down to the river to take a drink, and he falls in. He's so weak, he's so emaciated, he just falls in. And he gets up and says something like, "This is ridiculous." But he goes back to meditation, and he has his awakening experience. So he then comes back to find the disciples at the Deer Park of Benares, and they say, "There's something different about you. What is it?" And he says, "I'm awake. I am awake. I see, I know." What does he know? Let's go to the next slide. Okay. It says, these are all quotes from A Course in Miracles. I would not forget my function because I would remember myself. I cannot fulfill my function if I forget it, and unless I fulfill my function, I will not experience the joy that God intends for me. I like to underline that last part. I think this is very relevant. The joy that God intends for me. A lot of folks are living pretty miserable lives. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, there's a lot of unhappiness in this world, and particularly in certain parts of the world, which is just horrible, war-torn areas. It's hard to imagine the terrible life that those folks have, right? So, but there's no reason, it should be joyful, actually. Is intended to be. Joy is natural. You know, so if you not have joy, it's unnatural. And who wants to be living an unnatural life? There's something missing, right, if you can't be joyful. Right? So when we awaken to the self is who you really are. The self is who you are in truth. The self is who you always have been. So what happens with a Jesus or a Buddha or a Moses or a Muhammad is they awaken to the remembrance of that self. Now, it's interesting how they do this. It's true in all four cases, right? So in the case of, let's go with the oldest, right? Let's go back to Moses and the burning bush, right? He's alone in the mountains when this happens. That's a very important point. He's alone, right? Buddha's alone under the Bodhi tree. There's a very, very important thing that happens in the life of Jesus. There's not one single word of ministry until after the 40 days and the 40 nights in the wilderness. So as it says in the scriptures, the order of events is he's baptized by John the Baptist in the River Jordan. The next line in scripture says, this is an important line, after that he was led by the Spirit. That's an important point. Led by the Spirit into the wilderness for a time of testing. Right? And by the way, I guarantee if you go into the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, something's going to happen. I mean, really. You know, that's why meditation is so important. Because we need to shut down the world. It's just so present now. In fact, I wrote every Sunday morning I write a piece that goes out to our mailing list. And I've written one that hasn't been sent out yet called What's on the Screen? Meaning, that screen that's it is in front of you all the time? You're all carrying screens right now, right? Right. Not only that, but then you're sitting on the front of a computer with a screen, and it's telling you about what the world is, right? It's telling you all this stuff. And then in the evening, you sit in front of a television screen, and that's telling you about what's going on. And so it's really, really, really easy to get caught up in a collective dream. We are all dreaming this dream together, and we're invested in it, we believe in it, we say, isn't it awful, and look at this terrible stuff, and not only that, we gossip about it with each other, so it's all very real. It's not real. It's just a dream. It's being made up. It seems very real. I know it seems very real. But Shakespeare says all the world's a stage, and we're all players, we all have our entrances and our exits and our parts, and what's going on the current screen will, just of 10 years now, 20 years, it's a totally different screen, and a totally different game that's being played. But there's an eternal screen. There's an everlasting screen. There's an everlasting way of being and seeing, but you've got to wake up to see it. The Course in Miracles talks about getting above the battlefield. If you can get above the battlefield, a higher level of perspective, you look down, you see the game, you see the play, you see what's going on, and you make a very simple decision. I'm not going to play. I'm not going to play. I'm just not going to get in there and start throwing mud around. I'm not going to do it because that just amplifies the validity of the screen. But you've got to be able to see it to be able to stop it within your own mind. That's, again, the importance of meditation. But we all don't have time to go out into the desert or into the wilderness or into the mountain or like Muhammad go sit in a cave for 40 or a long time. Right? So we have to wake up some other way. That's what A Course in Miracles is for, or things like A Course in Miracles. What's interesting about the Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles says of itself, this is very important, this is one form of a universal course. So there's a universal course. The course is not, first of all, there's nothing new in the course, right? But it's the way it comes to us is new because it comes to us in the 20th century. You know, if you were the theologians of old, well, they didn't have those kind of screens. They were going on different dimensions, right? It's interesting. Jesus is standing in front of Pontius Pilate. He's been accused of treason, right? So he's standing in front of Pontius Pilate. And Pontius Pilate says, are you a king? And Jesus answers, very interesting answer. He says, yes, I'm a king. But my kingdom's not in this world. It's not in this world. He's not being a king in this world. You know, so he's of no threat. He's absolutely no threat because he was there to rule Judea. Pilate is. You know, so he said, "You're no threat to me. I'll give him back to you." Now he was a threat to the Pharisees and the Sadducees because he was taking their power away from them. Because people loved him. And why did they love him? Because he was love. If you radiate love, love's going to come back your way. And the people saw the love. And they responded to the love, and that's what brought everybody in. That's what everybody... And you're love. That's all that you are. I want to try one more slide before I begin to roll. Oh, okay, so I'll do 2 more slides. You dream of a... Okay, go one more. Okay, stop it this way. This is a chart I made. We could talk about this in more detail this afternoon, but believe it or not, everything that's on the left-hand side actually exists. There's 2 columns, right? And everything on the right side actually does not exist. Now, that may seem really difficult for you to buy this, right? But these are, real quick, these are what the Course in Miracles is. Eternity. Heaven is eternal. Eternity is real. Time is not. Time is a vast illusion, the Course is. Right. We are, if you will, trapped in time at the moment. Right. So the Course is very clear that there's only one time, and that is now. Right now. God loves you now. He doesn't love you who we were. Nothing of the past is gone. Definitely gone. Right? Nothing doesn't matter about the past. The future's not here yet. Now God loves you now. And that's the way we love each other now. Right? That's why, see, here's where the Course gets to be blasphemous. And it's so different from traditional Christianity. Because in traditional Christianity, there is a heaven. There is also a hell. And there's also a devil. And the Course is saying none of that is true. There can't be an opposite to God. There can't be an opposite to heaven. There can't be an opposite. The ego is a complete non-entity. There are no egos in heaven, guarantee you. It's not even a possibility. It's not that they're kept out. It's just that only the truth prevails in heaven. So we can't have a non-truth trying to get into the door of heaven. It just isn't going to work. Right? It's an illusion. So what we want to do is we want to wake up to the remembrance of who we really are. And I'll tell you who you really are. All right. You are the Son of God. You're the daughter of God. You're the Christ. You are the Christ. Which means that what you have to do is to do the same thing that Jesus did. To wake up and realize that that's who you are. That is your true self. That is the only self that there is. And that whatever we the made-up self, the self that's in the world, that is strictly an illusion. I want to tell you this is something that just happened last week with a friend of mine. He was he was one of the executive directors of an ashram that's near me. I've known him for 20, 30 years. So last Thursday of last week, he didn't wake up. He never got in the morning, right? And he was living in a part of the ashram where another friend, he was also working as a chiropractor. That's why he made money in his life, but he was also a director. So he didn't wake up. So she saw that his car was still in the parking lot, and so she went to look at it and check on him. And only 66 years old, she said he had the most beautiful smile on his face. Now, isn't that interesting? He was gone, but he had a smile on his face. Right? Helen Schuckman, who scribed the Course in Miracles, right? She died of pancreatic cancer, which I understand is painful, and February of '81. And Ken Wapnick, who was the primary spokesman for the Course in Miracles, was with her. The night nurse said that she thought she would live through the night, go home. And so he went home. The minute he got in the door, he said the phone was ringing. Come back, she's passed. Ken said the same thing. He walked into the door, and Helen was there. And he said she had the most beautiful smile on her face. Now, what would you be smiling for when you died if it wasn't, oh my God, heaven? I mean, oh my God, the door is open. I mean, oh my God, these things are heavy.
They are.
They are. Yeah. I mean, you got to brush the teeth and, wash it and fix your hair. And does this look all right today? I don't know. And then got to put it to sleep and you got to eat and all that stuff. So one of the things that's on there, you see, that does not exist is the body. All right? Bodies don't exist. Temporally, yes. In time, yes. But in eternity, no. Because who you really are, you're not a body. One of the most important things in the Course in Miracles, and people have a lot of trouble with this one, some people do, is that I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Well, God created spirit. God didn't create the body. And that's true for all bodies, by the way, animals. Everything is temporal. But temporal is not the same thing as eternity. I think we've only got a couple more minutes. Let me just look and see. So if you're going down, so reality is, so this is a dream illusion. There's only one mind. That's really important. There's only one mind here. And you are a part of the mind of God. Or a piece of that mind, right? Just imagine, for example, let's say that the body's filled with cells, trillions of cells. You're like a cell within that body, right? We're a part of the wholeness of God. But we're dreaming a dream in which we believe that we're not. We're separate. Now, the moment you become separate, you're diseased, right? And the more separate you are, the more diseased, the more you're going to try to kill the body, right? That's very important. The big egos, dictators, they always crash and burn. Always, always. There's no doubt about it. Right? It cannot survive because they're trying to create. This is a line in the Course where it says, "Power, fame, money, physical pleasure. To whom do these things belong?" So it belongs only to someone who is very external, living on the outside, and doesn't have an inner life. It's the inner life that makes us, Jesus and Buddha and all of them, find the inner life by sitting down and getting quiet and going within. Well, the Course is doing the same thing. It's a textbook that shows you how to practice these principles, which then enables you to become ever more deeply aware of the inner life and not the outer life, so that you're not putting all your cards into power and fame and money. I mean, everybody has to have enough money to have a roof over your head and clothes to wear and food to eat and all of that stuff. Everybody's got to have that, plus maybe a little extra. I mean, especially if you want to be generous and be able to share, et cetera, et cetera. But if that's the goal, that's insanity, because it's only something external. So there's only life, another way to say it, there's only love, there's no such thing as fear. That's the first paragraph in the Course in Miracles, right? Love is all-encompassing, there's nothing to be afraid of. What are you afraid of, you're going to die?
Yes, you are.
That, only the ego can be afraid of that. You know, the stronger the ego, the more the fear of that. The Course tells us it seems between knowledge and perception. I won't go into elaborate. I will this afternoon. I can go into. So there's only God. There's no ego. There's only heaven. There's no such thing as hell, and this world too. This world, like the external, right? It's the outside. Everything's outside here, right? And there's only truth and holiness and the right mind and creation, and eventually. The foundation that was set up to publish A Course in Miracles is called the Foundation for Inner Peace. Now tell me, is there anything you want more than peace, inner peace within your own soul, right? Okay. So this is a prequel. So if you can, come this afternoon for the sequel, okay?